I've been putting this one off for a while, and honestly it's been worth the wait, but in doing so, I've also missed the opportunity to predict some of these things correct. So keep in mind that this script has stayed basically the same for the past few weeks. But, in this video I'm going to talk about some really cool ideas in simulation theory that Mark has embedded into his latest masterpiece, In Space with Markiplier, and he has drawn attention to some neat sci-fi ideas that could be used in the future. But first, this episode has some serious spoilers for Space with Markiplier, and if you haven't seen that then you should really do one canon run of the story before watching my video. Okay, here comes the title. Alright, I want to talk about some really cool aspects of this film, the illusion of choice, paradoxes being manifested, the chaos and death that even small infinities can bring, and the destruction of your reality, to name a few. Did you think you had any freedom of choice during this series? The creator says no, and you don't. Do you think you caught all the paradoxes? 'Cause I'm pretty sure that you didn't, there are a lot of them. Did you pick up on all of the irreversible death that you caused, and is still being caused? First let's talk paradoxes. Mark claims that there are still parts of this hidden and unfound, and I have theories about where and how. I'd rather just wait for someone else to do it, to be honest. But one of the stories not yet told is the first Invincible. In this series you only see the Invincible 2. It's the big ship that you tear atom from atom multiple times, yet I want to talk about the first one that came before it. Somewhere in this multiversal time loop mayhem there is some version of this that begins with a ship called the Invincible. I think Mark has this story in his pocket for a rainy day, but in that story there is a Mark and a warp core that begin the destruction of the multiverse and the termination of their universe and everyone in it. And I think some of this story can be pieced together using the paradoxes present, but that's more of a theory for MacPat than me. But there is a first ship, and a source for all of these paradoxes, in theory. And there are quite a few paradoxes in this series. One is the sand, another is the multiple crystals, another is the warp core's existence. And all of these paradoxes would cause strain on the system running the multiverse, causing a collapse, and this is what I think takes place with the reboot. Ultimately, by solving the primary paradox you are able to free everyone from this multiverse of death and enable the crystal to be collected by Markiplier, who is also you the viewer sometimes. Anyway, that's an interesting aspect of simulation theory that I don't see utilized or talked about, that you can use glitches and shortcuts in the simulation to tell that you are in one, and if that is true then you could also, in theory, break your simulation to the point of reboot or termination. First off, if there is a story to be told from Invincible 1, it would be about a captain and an engineer who break their simulated universe together. And honestly I'd love to see it. Second, what Mark does with the simulation setting is really cool, and something I'd honestly love to see the mainstream borrow from. The slow unraveling of the universe around them before the sudden universe rebooting message was a really cool twist that could be the basis for an art film on its own. It also spells out a clear danger for studying the nature of existence. If there was a test to prove that we lived in a simulation by causing a glitch in reality, then by measuring said glitch, that could in theory, cause the corruption of the sim, ending that instance and killing everything in it. Additionally, if you accidentally caused a paradox to exist by exploiting time travel and doing the grandfather paradox thing, then you could also cause the collapse of causality in the sim like we see in Space with Markiplier, again killing everything. And that really makes you wonder if it is wise to attempt to affirm the nature of reality by proving it can be broken. A clear example of this is the universe where Mark is actually Mac. In such a universe the implication that Mac could be Mark alone is enough to cause the universe to fracture itself. An interesting aspect of Mark's content that I want to see more of is the interconnected nature of his skits, for example the Worf stash Easter egg that everyone is talking about, and the control that the audience has over the story, but also the illusion of control. And if you haven't played In Space, I'm about to ruin the ending a lot, so this is your last chance, go watch it. But in part 2, there is only one path and you can't not take it. You reach a point where you can choose only right or left, each time you are brought to only one of 2 videos, then at the end, if you pick the incorrect option, then you are brought to the beginning of episode 1, meaning that in your canon ending, just like the keep jumping in option, you can only succeed or keep trying. It's nice to see such a hopeful message come from such a dark outcome. It's actually beautiful to see the illusion of choice manifesting as both chaos and personal growth. I really like it. But there's a dark side. I want to talk about something I noticed in part 1, and Mark confirmed in his live stream. We the viewers are all controlling the outcome, and we are all causing this destruction, all of us together at the same time, and that our choices have actual meaning in the world of these characters. One of the things that I predicted is that the glitching from this work is, and has been, blending into his other content, and I'm hoping that it will continue into his future content, both because it would make the most amount of sense if it is in fact all connected, but also, it's just neat when everything clicks together. An example of this interconnectivity is the Easter egg in one of the endings and how it connects to an old video of Mark's. In this clip from Wilford Mother-Loving Worf Stash, you can see another Worf Stash in the background.
Do I know you, friend?
I said get down on... What? How do you not... Stop playing games! Get your ass down on the ground before I blow you right here, right now! Away!
Dave? Dave! Dave? Dave. Greg. Steve. Bill. Dave! I knew I recognized you. How are you? How's the wife? Greg. Steve. Bill. Dave! I knew I recognized you. How are you?
Oh, it's you. Is it that time already? Oh, let's chat over here, away from them. They're still figuring themselves out, those two. Quite the story, but for another day.
And in one of the paths on his newest project, you see Worf Stash coming from that scene to schedule a meeting with you for Heist with Mark, implying that In Space with Markiplier is both at the beginning and end of a lot of these characters' stories. But given that all these characters are connected, including Mark Fishburne Markiplier, it stands that this is all connected, our universe included, and all of it is going on inside a simulation in Worf Stash's or the viewer's head.
Belief in something makes it real in that other, in the warp, right? So for you guys, your belief in these characters and your love for them solidify their reality in this fake reality, this sub-universe of my mind, which is just these shows are just visions in my mind made into reality.
That or it's all a figment of Mark's imagination, but that's just a theory. Next time we are back to the normal smart stuff with some super neat topics coming up. Maybe I'll even review something fun. Anyway, you would be doing me a huge favor if you pressed the cookie buttons, like and subscribe. Bye humans.